I remember the night it happened as if it were yesterday. I was sitting alone in my living room, the curtains drawn shut, the air thick with silence. My Bible sat unopened on the table, collecting dust, while my heart was buried beneath layers of bitterness. I had spent years in church, raising my hands, praying the loudest, and quoting scriptures. Yet inside, I was drowning in unforgiveness, jealousy, and pride. I hated the hypocrisy I saw in others, but I never admitted that my own life was a lie. The truth was, I felt nothing of God's presence anymore. I prayed, but my words bounced back like echoes off the walls. I sang, but my soul stayed cold. And then, one night, when my chest tightened and my breath turned shallow, I realized that I was about to face something I had never prepared for. Something far darker than death itself. Before I continue, I want to pause and appreciate you, my listener. If you are new here, welcome. I am so thankful that you clicked on this story. And to all my returning viewers, thank you from the depths of my heart. You are the reason this channel is alive, and every subscribe, every like, and every comment is the fuel that keeps these testimonies going. If you have not yet subscribed, I cannot wait for you to hit that button. It truly means the world to me. Please do not forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. I read them all, and they keep me encouraged. Now, let me take you back to where this journey really began. My name is Eva. I was born and raised in West Virginia, and at the time of this story, I was in my late 40s. I want to be honest with you. On the outside, I looked like a woman who had it all together. I was the one people came to for prayer requests. I was the one who reminded everyone to live holy, to dress right, to speak right. But behind that polished image was a heart eaten alive by resentment and hidden sin. It all began years earlier, around 2014. My marriage had collapsed, leaving me bitter and cold. I never forgave my ex-husband, and though I smiled in church, I carried anger like a secret flame. My children were grown, living their own lives, and I filled the emptiness with church activities, convincing myself that serving God meant I was safe. I had turned Christianity into performance, not relationship. I judged people mercilessly. If someone fell into sin, I shook my head and whispered, they were never serious about God. I believed I was better. Deep inside, however, I was empty. I struggled with loneliness, battled secret depression, and carried pride like a crown. I told myself I was righteous because I went to church 3 times a week. But at night, I cried myself to sleep, wondering if God even heard me anymore. And slowly, without even realizing it, I started doubting if He cared for me at all. The turning point came one cold evening in January 2019. I had just returned from a church service where I spent more time criticizing others than worshiping. I was restless, pacing the floor of my house, angry at life, angry at people, angry at God. My chest suddenly began to pound, a sharp pain searing through me. I fell to the floor, gasping for air, my vision blurring. That was the moment everything shifted, because when my eyes closed, I did not see peace. I did not see light. I saw something that shook me to the core and changed everything I thought I knew about God, eternity, and myself. When my eyes closed that night, I expected silence, maybe even nothingness. Instead, I woke up in a place that felt more real than anything I had ever touched or seen in this world. The first thing that struck me was the heat. It was not like the warmth of firewood burning in a stove during a West Virginia winter. This heat was alive, heavy, suffocating. It clung to my skin, seared my lungs, and pressed against my chest like invisible hands. I tried to scream, but the air was thick with the stench of sulfur and burning flesh. It filled my throat, choking me. Then came the sounds. Wails, screams so piercing they cut through me like blades. The voices did not sound distant, they were close, surrounding me. Every scream was soaked in despair, like people who knew there was no escape, no second chance. I wanted to cover my ears, but my body felt frozen, as if I was chained in terror. I looked around, and the darkness moved like a living thing. Shadows twisted and writhed, and from within them came grotesque shapes, creatures with hollow eyes and twisted faces, demons. They laughed as they dragged souls deeper into pits of fire, their claws tearing into flesh that never seemed to stop burning. And then I saw something that broke me in a way I cannot explain. I recognized faces. At first, I thought my mind was playing tricks on me, but no, I knew these people. They were from my own church. Men and women who had once stood in the choir, who had prayed fiery prayers, who had carried big Bibles tucked under their arms. Some of them had preached holiness with voices so strong I had once admired them. Now here they were, screaming, begging for mercy, clawing at the walls of that pit. Their eyes met mine, and for a moment, recognition flickered. One woman I had always thought was the epitome of purity stretched out her hand toward me and cried, "Eva, do not make the same mistake I did." My heart pounded. "How? Why are you here?" I tried to ask, but no sound came from my mouth. That was when a demon with scales like iron and eyes that burned like coals hissed in my ear. Because holiness is not a mask. Hypocrisy has no crown. Its voice was a mixture of laughter and venom. I wanted to run, but every step I tried to take sank me deeper into the ground, as if the very floor of hell was pulling me in. Flames licked at my legs, yet they did not consume me. The pain was endless, a cycle of burning and never dying. Then I heard another voice, not demonic, not human. It came from behind me, calm but firm, echoing like thunder across eternity. "Eva, look closely." I turned, and in the distance, a figure of light stood, unreachable yet unmistakably powerful. My body trembled because the darkness around me seemed to retreat at the presence of that light. The voice spoke again. "These are the ones who wore holiness on the outside, but never surrendered their hearts. And you are on the same path." My chest tightened, not from pain this time, but from shame. Every memory of my pride, my judgment, my cold prayers flashed before me. I was no different from them. I had convinced myself that being in church was enough. But standing there, I realized my heart had never truly bowed to God. And then, just when I thought the darkness would swallow me whole, something began to change. The screams dimmed, the demons pulled back, the ground beneath me shook violently as if I was being ripped out of that place. But then I heard a whisper right next to my ear, soft but chilling. "You may leave, but remember, if you return to your old ways, this place will welcome you back." My soul quaked as I was lifted out of the pit, unsure of whether I was being rescued or warned. I felt myself rising, pulled upward with a force I could not resist. The screams of hell grew faint, like echoes behind a closed door, but the memory of them carved into my soul. My body trembled, yet a strange calm began to cover me. Then the light I had seen from afar drew closer, brighter than the sun, yet not blinding. It wrapped me in warmth, the kind of love I had longed for my entire life but never truly felt. A voice spoke from within the light, and though I could not see a face, I knew, without question, that it was the voice of the Lord. "Eva," the voice said, steady and piercing, "your time has not yet come. I am showing you this so you may warn them. Go back and tell them holiness is not a show. It is surrender. Tell them I do not look at their outward appearance, but at the heart. Many are deceived, believing they are safe because of church walls and empty rituals, but their pride, their unforgiveness, their secret sins are chains that drag them to destruction." I fell to my knees, weeping, unable to speak. All I could manage was a whisper. "Lord, forgive me." The light grew even brighter, and I felt a hand, not physical, but spiritual, lift me up. The voice continued, "Eva, I am giving you another chance. Live differently, walk humbly, show mercy, and never forget what you have seen." In an instant, my eyes opened. I was back in my living room, sprawled on the floor. My chest was still aching, but I could breathe again. My body felt weak, yet my spirit was alive in a way it had never been before. Tears poured down my face as I realized that I had been spared. The days that followed were not easy. The memory of hell haunted me. For weeks, I could still smell the sulfur, hear the screams, see the faces of those who once stood in church pews beside me. But those memories pushed me to change. The first thing I did was repent, not just with words, but with my life. I confessed my pride, my hypocrisy, my unforgiveness. I called my ex-husband, a man I had not spoken to in years except with bitterness, and told him I forgave him. For the first time in decades, I felt free. I stopped judging others because I knew now how fragile and broken we all are without God's mercy. I started seeking the Lord with a heart that truly hungered for Him, not for appearances or reputation. Prayer became a lifeline, not a performance. Worship became tears and whispers of gratitude, not just loud words. My relationships changed too. My children noticed something different in me. I no longer criticized them or held them to impossible standards. I listened more, loved more, and spoke less. Even in church, I stopped trying to be the most holy and started being honest about my struggles. And to my surprise, that honesty began to help others open up about theirs. Success in life no longer meant the respect of people. It meant being right with God. Every day since that encounter, I live with urgency. Eternity is not a faraway idea for me anymore. I saw it. I heard it. I touched it. And I know now that hell is real, but so is God's mercy. To you listening now, I need to say this with all the weight of my soul. Do not think that church attendance alone will save you. Do not think that outward holiness without inner surrender will keep you safe. Hell is filled with people who looked righteous on the outside, but never truly gave their hearts to God. I will never forget the words I heard in that place. Holiness is not a mask. Hypocrisy has no crown. Friend, you may be admired, respected, even praised in church, but only God sees your heart, and it is your heart that He will judge. Today I invite you, repent, surrender. Do not wait for a near-death moment to realize what is at stake. Before I end, I want to leave you with this. Hell is real, but so is grace. Pride will lead you to destruction, but humility will bring you to mercy. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe people can look holy on the outside but still miss heaven? And what does true surrender to God mean to you personally? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Your support helps spread this message to more souls who need to know the truth. Because if there is one thing I learned in that pit, it is this: tomorrow is not promised, and eternity is closer than we think.